So was it all just in my head? As a child, I was told that I just wasn't quite as smart as the other children. I never put any expectations on myself because I knew I didn't have the capacity to deal with it. And throughout my life, the brain fog and depression just sort of hovered over me. And I always seemed to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and bad things just seemed to keep happening to me. But was this just paranoia? Was it all just in my head? Well, did you know that by the age of 40, almost 50% of the population will have had to have dealt with some form of mental illness? Now, medical advancements over the years has seen so many things that used to be so complicated, now little more than routine surgery. But there is one vital piece of our anatomy that cannot be replaced, and that is the brain. The brain is so intricate. We are born with almost all of the 100 billion neurons needed to develop the person that we become. And from the years of 3 to 5, they start making connections that create the person that we are. So if a child is in an adverse environment within that first 3 to 5 years, those connections sometimes get a little bit off. They are basically wired for survival. Hence that saying, it's just how I'm wired. So if we go back to my question, was it all just in my head? Yeah, it was. Basically, I was wired wrong. You see, in 2014, I was diagnosed with a form of PTSD called complex PTSD. Now, post-traumatic stress disorder is normally associated with people that have lived through some horrific event, or people that have a job that is so high stress that they develop it. Now, I hadn't been in that type of an environment, so my diagnosis had been missed. And when I got the diagnosis, it was a little bit hard to take at first. But then I realized I was lucky. You see, I always thought I was crazy. Now I knew I really was. And there's a lot of people out there that are crazy, but they are oblivious to it. And you know what I'm talking about. All you have to do is think for a moment, and I'm sure you can think of more than one offhand. Now, because I know that I'm wired wrong, there were things that I could do to make my life better. And just when I thought I was making really good progress, I was traveling down Highway 36 at 10 o'clock at night when a herd of Black Angus cattle crossed in front of my 1-ton dually truck while I was pulling a 36-foot trailer behind. And I hit the herd of cattle. Now my PTSD was triggered, and my psychologist started to think that maybe there was a little bit more to my depressive state than just the PTSD. So she sent me for a brain scan. Now that was scary. They were looking at this brain. Good news and bad news. The good news was they found a brain. The bad news was I had suffered a major concussion, affecting my frontal and temporal lobes. The frontal was affecting my short-term memory, my energy, a lot of things. The temporal was affecting my mood. The doctor basically said my brain wasn't coming out of REM mode. I was pretty much in sleep mode all the time. He put a lot of limitations on me, including I wasn't allowed to drive. I said, "Are you kidding me? I've been driving just fine for months." But then my daughter had to speak up and tell him how terrified she had been to drive with me. I kind of wondered why she kept grabbing that holy shit handle so often. Now it was understandable. So the foundation for my concussion recovery was quite simple. I just needed to change a lot of things. The scan had shown that it wasn't probably my first concussion, and if I didn't make a lot of changes, I was at high risk for dementia. So things like water and nutrition, breathing exercises, limiting my stress and limiting my time on the computer were the foundations of my concussion therapy. But then I also took it one step further and I added neurofeedback and proscope and massage therapy and IV therapy and animal therapy, you name it, even singing therapy. I wanted to do anything I could to give my brain a chance to heal. And it is very resilient, and it will heal if you give it the chance. So I did. You see, that image of my children changing my diaper sooner rather than later really haunted me, and I'm sure it haunted them, so I was willing to do anything I could to make it better. So my life is not the same as it was before the accident, but I now live a healthier life, and it shouldn't have taken a herd of Black Angus cattle and a major concussion to make me treat my brain with the respect it deserves. We can all do something to help ourselves and to help our brain. And it just might be in your head. And you just might have to take care of it. You see, a year ago, I couldn't even string together sentences. And look at me now. I just put together a 7-minute speech on my crazy brain. So we can all start a ritual at the top and work our way down. Give your brain that chance to heal, because it can heal if you give it the chance. Thank you.